New Jersey cops are failing drug tests. Many of them are testing positive for cocaine, oxycodone, and random tests. So, are we shocked? No. And I'm sure this is a nationwide problem, ladies and gentlemen. This is not just New Jersey. But these cops cannot, and these are cops that are already working and on the streets across America. When you give them a random drug test, they are failing. Just looking at their behavior, I'm not surprised. I think this is more of the norm than not the norm. You know, this came out a while ago, but I think it's very significant because of the things that we see in policing today. We see a lot of erratic behavior in these cops. At least I do. And that should never be overlooked. And hey, look, cops are people. If the general public is struggling with an opioid epidemic, you can best believe these police officers are struggling with it too. They don't live in a different world, they live in this one. Are New York police officers in your town failing drug tests? Now we know. Law enforcement officers tested positive for drugs like cocaine and oxycodone and random drug tests we recommended for all New Jersey police departments. So, like many police departments, if you're going to be a cop here, you're going to be randomly tested. At least 8 New Jersey police officers last year failed random drug tests, a reform put in place after the Asbury Park Press found that more than 100 departments across the state had no random testing policy. Tests uncover law enforcement officers using drugs like marijuana, cocaine, and the powerful painkiller oxycodone. At least one officer detected using drugs would not have been discovered if the reform had not been put in place following the Protecting the Shield series published by the press and the USA Today Network, New Jersey, in January 2018. The mandatory drug testing policy for all law enforcement officers was enacted in March by New Jersey Attorney General Grubar Gradwell, following a public recommendation by the network series. In the Shield stories, the network exposed the lives ruined and tens of millions of taxpayer dollars spent as a result of secretive practices and fragmented police oversight in New Jersey. The series also prompted a statewide early warning system that triggers a review of troubled cops by county prosecutor offices. The results of drug tests recently obtained by the network make a clear theme in New Jersey policing first uncovered in the Shield. The state's system with hundreds of independent cop agencies make it inherently difficult to maintain uniform best practices. More than 100 departments missed the deadline to file drug testing paperwork. More than 100 are still unaccounted for. The form they're filling are inconsistent, and it's unclear what's happening to all the officers who tested positive because you know what, ladies and gentlemen, these officers are being protected. They don't want to turn in that information and reveal how bad drug addiction is among policing in New Jersey, and I'm sure in all police departments across this country. Policing expert Joseph Bladetler underscored the challenges New Jersey home rule design presented for policing. And number two, they should not be able to get away with not submitting drug testing paperwork on these cops. And it should not be unaccounted for. Why are the police getting away with that? You know, you know what it is? It's their favorite cops and the cops they like and want to protect. They don't want to turn in those drug tests because they know they didn't pass. These cops, when they don't pass a drug test, they need to get the gun and stun gun and anything else they carry from that cop. He should not be allowed on the streets high and have access to a gun. 8 municipal police who failed drug tests came from 6 towns. 2 officers tested positive in Weehawken and North Bergen, the network found. Officers also tested positive in Franklinborough, Ridgewood, Piscataway, and Woodland Park. Wow. Drug tests also exposed at least 3 county correction officers using illegal substances, according to reports filed that the counties under the new testing policy. The officers who tested positive are a fraction of the more than 2,800 tests performed and roughly 34,000 officers in the state. The network obtained records for 20 of 21 counties in New Jersey. Essex County prosecutor provided none. About 3,300 cops work in Essex County, according to pension data. Wow. You see how these police departments are refusing to turn in the results on these drug tests? They shouldn't be able to get away with that. And that just go to show you they are failing in any type of oversight committees, which I believe each one of these police departments should have. Cops should not be allowed to investigate themselves. And I really believe that the results to these tests should go to a third party where they can be issued out to the to whoever federal agency is demanding these drug tests. If you're going to put the results in the hands of police officers, you know why they're not sending in the results. Again, police policing each other, it doesn't work. It doesn't work, and you see it's not working in this case. They are sitting on those test results and not turning them in. And nobody is holding their feet to the fire over this. So they get away with it. Officers who test positive for illegal substances or legal drugs without a prescription are supposed to be fired and logged in a state database of cops who failed drug tests, according to a long-standing attorney general policy. But the records on tests last year obtained by the network don't always show what happened to an officer who failed a test. I bet you they never got fired and they're still out here patrolling, y'all. That's why they're not saying anything. Last year, the network identified Ridgewood, a department of about 45 officers serving a town of 2,600 people in Bergen County, as a department with no random drug testing policy before the Attorney General mandate. An unidentified Ridgewood police officer failed a drug test in October, according to the network analysis of hundreds of pages of records generated as part of a new drug testing mandate. The drug testing records don't show what happened to this officer. Only one person left employment with Ridgewood Police Department last year, the network found. The officer left late November after a date of a department random drug test in October. So they left before they were even drug tested. They knew they were going to come up hot. The town said his separation was a resignation. A letter the town provided from the officer's attorney said his resignation was deemed to be in good standing. Calls to the officers, his lawyer, and the Ridgewood police chief weren't returned. A police officer who resigns in good standing can seek a pension or a job with another police department, and that's why they left. That's why they left, because Number one, they weren't drug tested. Now they're open to just apply for another job in another county. Records obtained by the network also show a Weehawken patrolman was fired for violating the department's drug testing policy, though it's not clear in the documents how he violated the policy. The department deputy public safety director, Thomas White, wouldn't confirm whether former patrolman Anthony Landy failed a drug test. White did say two officers were fired from the department following failed drug test last year. Landy, who was named in the document, returned a reporter phone call. Landy confirmed he was fired because of a failed drug test and said he's trying to appeal the situation. Landy declined to comment further, saying he needed to speak to his attorney. See, ladies and gentlemen, I don't think any of us are shocked that this man right here is New Jersey's Attorney General. An unidentified Piscataway officer retired immediately following a positive drug test. He should not have been allowed to retire. If he was supposed to be fired, he should have been fired. It's unclear whether the officer was flagged for the state registry of drug using cops. The records don't show how police departments dealt with other police officers who failed drug tests in towns including Franklin Borough, North Bergen, and Woodland Park. Officials for those departments couldn't be reached for comment. Gaps in drug testing. There are many more drug testing abusing cops on the road. The Attorney General's new drug testing mandate required departments to test at least 10% of their officers in 2018 and a file report on the results with the county prosecutor's office by December 31st, and they did not do that. At least 32 agencies did not test any officers as they were required. See, this is why I'm telling you, police should never be allowed to police themselves, because they are going to do everything to not follow whatever rules are set in place. And to me, cops should not be able to skip out on drug testing because of the nature of the job they do every single day that impacts the public. So if they skip out on drug testing, people should be fired, plain and simple. Like I said, it should be a third party involved in this to make sure it gets done. If you leave this in the hands of cops, you're going to see just what we're looking at right now. 32 police agencies didn't test any of their cops. And it may be more than that. The results for the test in 31 departments are still pending, and at least 4 departments simply didn't complete the mandatory test in 2018, the network found. See? So if you leave it in the hands of the cops, shit ain't gonna get done. All right? It's not gonna get done. I would like to know how many of these cops that are killing unarmed Black people, how many of them are high? Do they do any type of toxicology testing on these cops? I think when they're out here harassing and killing unarmed people, it should be an immediate drug test on them. Just let me know how you feel about that in the comments section. So that includes Coates Neck in Monmouth County, Clayton and East Greenwich, and Gloucester County, and Mullica, and Atlantic City County, areas where a total of about 65 officers work, according to pension records. So, as you can see, ladies and gentlemen, this is problematic. And I know it's not just New Jersey. This shit is nationwide. It would be nice if there was some type of mandatory drug testing every time these cops pull a trigger. I would be interested to know how many of them are actually high on drugs when they're out here and they get into altercations with the public, because too many times we have seen cops start these altercations. So are they starting it because they are high on drugs? Because a lot of times they feel invincible when they're on these drugs. So where are their minds when they are dealing with the public? Or is it all drugged up on all these different powerful narcotics out here? Would love to know. But please tell me what you think, ladies and gentlemen, on this one. Please leave your comment and subscribe. Don't forget to hit on the notification bell, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace, family.